to July 4th, 1776. And what I want to do is to deconstruct the Declaration of Independence a little bit and talk about the different parts of it. The Declaration of Independence is important in our history of our country because it marks the birth of our country. If you go to virtually every other country in the world, it is marked by a battle, or the death of a leader, or something that was not near as positive as declaring we want to be free. So, we created a we created a country intentionally. It wasn't an accident. The Declaration is divided into four parts: the preamble, the list of abuses, the petitions and declarations. The petitions and the declarations. So it starts off in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. This document is the first time that we talk about the United States, because until then we were the United Colonies of Great Britain, or United Colonies of America, but now we're the United States of America. And when you think of the definition of a state, it's the same as a country. The state of Italy, the state of Great Britain. They belong to the European Union, but they're all individual states. The same is true for all the states in the United States. We're all separate countries with sovereignty, according to our document. I also want to make sure that you remember that this document was drawn up in legislative session, which makes it a law. It's never been repealed. So it's still a law. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separate. So, our founders felt that it was important to tell the rest of the world what we were doing and why. They weren't trying to get out of society, they were trying to build in. This was not tearing down. This was not a revolution in the respect of taking something away, it was adding. And nature's God, this is just the first indication that the founding fathers and the framers were all believed in a creator. They may not have believed in a specific religion, or that God worked in exactly the same way, except that there was a creator. This wasn't by accident. The final phrase in that section also shows that we're mindful of the responsibilities of the government. We're not withdrawing, we're establishing. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, we got rights that are inherent in our creation. They cannot be taken from us. They belong to us. I have to tell you, I'm looking out at you folks and I think I'm boring, and I really hate to do that. And if I am, be honest and let me know. I think I'm covering ground that's been covered before, pretty recently, and it's probably stuff you know. I'm just trying to get through it to get into the list of abuses. And if you'd like me to, I'll skip right into the list of abuses. You want to go to the abuses? Yes, go to the abuses. All right. Okay. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. Now that first abuse was referring that after the Boston Tea Party, the English Parliament required the reimbursement for property damage. Okay, we call these the colony. It was right there, aren't the people, the colonies passed legislation to comply with paying for the property damage. But Massachusetts included a pardon for all of them involved, all of the people that were involved in dumping a tea over. Sam Adams, guys. The king refused his assent to this legislation. His refusal denied the people the laws most necessary and wholesome for the public good. So that's what they were writing about. Now, another reference I'd like to give you is Article 1, Section 7 in the Constitution. This allows for the Congress to pass legislation without the assent of the executive. So it all falls in line. The people were injured because the executive refused to give his assent. So we claimed that, but then when we wrote our Constitution, we said the legislature can override the executive. They don't require his assent to pass a bill. In fact, if a piece of legislation goes to the president's desk and it sits there for 5 days and he doesn't sign it, it still becomes law. So it's not just in the Constitution that they can override his veto. It's that if he doesn't do anything, it still becomes law. Now, when I was writing this, what I thought about to looking at today, I look at the oil leak in the Gulf of Mexico. Many other countries have offered ships and help to contain and retain the oil. The administration refused their help, citing the Jones Act, which requires ships operating in the U.S. waters to have U.S. crews. Now, 70-plus days after the spill, we're accepting help from some of these countries. Not all of them, but some of them. Why did the administration wait for more than 2 months to allow help, which would certainly be laws most necessary and wholesome for the public good? Why did they allow all of that oil to wash up on the shore? So the next complaint is that he has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation until his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. And this abuse is referencing the 1764 attempt of the New York legislature to complete a treaty with the Indians known as the Six Nations. The governor of New York gave his assent and then withdrew it because the king and some of his ministers were afraid that this would strengthen the colonies too much. In 1770, Massachusetts passed a law taxing the king's representatives the same as the colonists. The king withheld his assent. So the king's assent was never given. He utterly neglected to attend to his people and to his duties. And again, if you reference Article 1, Section 10, restricts federal powers over the states. So if you go there, you can see in the Constitution where it protects us from that. Now we know that this administration delays virtually every event it faces. Unless, of course, they're firing somebody in Georgia who drives around and helps farmers. Or if they're complaining about the way the police arrested somebody in their own home. But this administration delays virtually everything else. How long did General McChrystal wait for a decision regarding his request for additional personnel? Bobby Jindal wanted to build berms to protect the Louisiana coastline, and the EPA stopped him until it was too late. Governor Brewer in Arizona is resisting the delay the administration is demanding regarding illegal immigration. They're saying no more. We're not delaying. We're doing something about it.